Jay here, Stretford, Paddock, and this is the big debate, and we've brought out the big guns. We've got Ronaldo Brown. How are you doing, brother?
Doing all right, you know. You look good in white. I did say to you before, I'm not going to say it again, you do look great in white. I'm sure they all agree with me.
That's what I like about you, honest. We've also got Joe Smith.
Hello.
Yeah?
Anything?
You going to say anything about Joe's attire?
Look all right.
All right, there you
Good
go.
stuff,
And of course, Gaz Drinkwater's back on the channel.
Why are we letting Ronaldo tell everyone what they look like and he's there in that t-shirt?
Yeah, that's the best.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's address that
You know what I
t-shirt
mean?
because what does it say there? Don't fucking tell me what to do, and it's got a picture. What's this? That is a scary picture. That's the one you used to keep the kids away from the fireplace.
It's a picture of Kevin Owens.
You love that. I remember when we was on the brew and you loved that joke. We're going to be getting into it anyway about
Big
Erik
WWE
Ten
fan.
Hag. Erik Ten Hag, he's come from Ajax to Manchester United. I don't envy him. I'm going to be honest with you. So we're going to be talking about what would constitute a good season, in your opinions, for Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United. His first season, what would you go, okay, that's good. That's a good enough season.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a big word, good.
All right.
That is a big
I'm
word.
going to change it to acceptable.
Oh, right, well, that changes my answer.
Acceptable.
No, what is success?
Success. Right.
Good.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Good.
Keep
It's me at the
pronouncing
end
it
of the
success.
season.
That's how it's spelt.
Right.
No, it's said.
It's either good,
What do you say?
acceptable, or
Success.
successful. Right? They're all in the same sort
They're
of
not. They're not.
bracket.
Good and
Yeah.
acceptable are different things.
Right, well, tell you what, you give me successful, right?
Okay.
You give me
all right,
successful,
all right, wow,
you give me
okay.
acceptable, and you give me good.
That's crazy. I didn't think success was meant to be this subjective, you know.
Well, this
Especially
is
with
what we
certain
like to do.
team sport.
And you can get involved in the comments and let us know what you would think would be a good, successful, or acceptable season, however you want
I'll
to put
give
it.
you all three.
Yeah, you give us all three. So we'll start off with you, Ronnie. Erik Ten Hag's come in after what was a pretty disastrous season for Manchester United last season. At the time of recording, this hopefully will change very soon. We haven't made any signings of yet. We've lost quite a few players who have out of contracts and moved on. So he's up against it. We know that City have strengthened, Liverpool strengthened, Spurs have strengthened. We know that they were above us, as were Chelsea, of course. So for you, what does Erik Ten Hag have to do to show that he's the right man for Manchester United in his first season?
I was going back and forth between top four, a return to the Champions League, or winning a trophy.
Okay.
But I'm gonna kind of go towards the Champions League top four because last season with the squad that we had, with signing Sancho, with signing Varane, with signing Ronaldo, was expected to actually challenge for the title a little bit. Well, we're a little bit excited in terms of trying to win the title, but it didn't obviously materialise. And we finished outside the top four. But it's the fact that we've seen Tottenham strengthen, we've seen Arsenal strengthen, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get top four next season. I think Chelsea are a little bit ahead of us. Obviously, we're light years behind City and Liverpool. So I kind of feel like if we do finish in the top four, we're going to have to do really, really well to do so. So I feel like that could be seen as success.
I don't know how much Tottenham have strengthened.
Do you really? Because I'll be honest with you, I can't contradict myself. I said it on the live I did the other night. I felt that with Perisic, with Yves Bissouma, I think they're good players.
I think they're good players, but I think they're good players.
Into a
Who's
squad
Perisic better than they had last year?
But it's that squad, though, isn't it?
What do you mean he's better? He's better than they had issues in terms of their left wing back, with it being Ryan Sessegnon being inconsistent, looking a bit like Championship might have been his max. They didn't really fancy Reguilon either. On the other side, they had Emerson Royale, which is probably one of the worst right backs in the league whenever I watched him.
Yeah.
So I feel like they wanted to strengthen their wing back area, and they got Perisic in, which does that. They've got Bissouma in, who's walked straight into their starting 11 as well.
We've seen as United fans plenty of times where, you can buy players in positions that you need improving, but they don't definition improve those areas.
I'm not just referring to the summer. I'm referring to the fact that they got Kulusevski in January and Bentancur, who are going to be more kind of acclimatised to the Premier League starting next season as well. They're going to be miles stronger, especially under Conte as well. I think they're going to be a lot. I'm going to be a force, 100%.
The bigger thing as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off then. The bigger thing as well is Conte having that pre-season, having that squad. He inherited a squad that was on a pretty low ebb. They just sacked the manager after 8 games. But having hopefully, well, not hopefully, because I hope it doesn't happen, but we'll see, Harry Kane for a long period as well. I just feel like Spurs are probably in a better position going into this season than they were going into the last one. And they've got Champions League football, so there's a bit of a buzz about the place. You've got a manager who knows what he's doing. He's won the Premier League. I'm not saying they're going to win the Premier League. In fact, part of me thinks I wish they would, because that means City or the Scousers don't. But I feel like Spurs are sort of improving.
You can't sign a starting left wing back and a starting midfielder and say you've not strengthened.
We've done that loads of times. We constantly
start
starting players and don't strengthen.
That's in hindsight, isn't it? We're not really speaking in hindsight.
Do you not feel that? Do you not feel that though? Then,
but it's all prediction. Isn't
it? Do you think Spurs have moved further away from us in terms of the quality they've got, or do you think that
I think the Conte is a factor. That short term he will improve them definitely, but I don't necessarily think a 32 or 33-year-old Ivan Perisic is going to make the difference between them being a top 4 team and whatever people are predicting next season.
They stay in the top 4 again. I think
that my worry with Spurs genuinely is and I might be getting sort of carried away and feeling just pessimistic, or whatever. I almost feel like they've already got top 4. I do. I just feel like I can't see Conte not finishing the top 4.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I don't think they've improved that much. That's what I said. I didn't say they've got worse or that they're shit or that they're not going to finish top 4. They finished 4th this season. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be much better now this year than they were last year.
I don't rate Bissouma
based on who they've got so far.
But I think they are improvements to their squad, and for me. At a time when United haven't improved, we've weakened our squad. We've lost. You might not like Paul Pogba or Nemanja Matic or whatever, but losing those players has weakened our squad. It just has. Now, admittedly, it looks like we're going to replace him, but as it's setting in now, I think Tottenham have improved and we've regressed. And that's how I feel. At a time when we were already behind him anyway. With an unproven manager coming in who I do rate. But
at the end of the day, though, the difference between the quality of Tottenham and United squads in terms of where they finish in the table, that can be decided by the manager. For me, there's not too much difference in quality in the two squads to suggest that one is definitely going to finish above it. I think Erik Ten Hag comes in as a good season, he finishes above Spurs, no problem. Comes in and as an average season, he finishes above Arsenal, no problem, because we're better than them. I'm sorry, we are on paper. Spurs, it's a bit, fair enough. But I think you've got to give a lot of props to Conte. The reason that we're talking about Spurs like this, because let's not forget there were periods last season, like when we beat them under Ollie, like that little false dawn towards the end of Ollie, that we were thinking these lot are naff, mate. And
there were also periods under Conte where they lost 6 out of 8 games in a row.
No,
so it's not like Conte's come in and they've been in like league title winning form.
No.
They scraped top 4 because Arsenal completely bottled it with 4 games to go. They didn't like cruise to top 4. They've got a team that is better than Arsenal's, a manager that is better than Arsenal's. They've been in the top 4 far more than Arsenal have in the last 10 years, and they only just scraped it because Arsenal bottled it. Tottenham didn't surge to the top 4. Arsenal fell apart.
But I do think Conte, his job was to get top 4. He did that.
He's a good manager.
He's a good manager. I think Conte. When you look at Conte, I just feel like he's a solid pair of hands there. And I feel like him with, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but with the squad he's got now, they have got 1 or 2 world-class players as well, and some decent additions.
That's literally what I was going to say.
I can see them getting top 4.
That's their advantage over United in terms of, I think they have Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, which are 2 players that probably walk into pretty much every top team in Europe. And that's probably what gives them the edge, because it seems to be that them 2 do drag Tottenham to results. They basically drag him to top 4, especially Heung-min Son's season where he should have got Player of the Year. But I think, do you not think?
No, not having that one.
No.
De Bruyne.
But anyway, go on. I don't want it to just be me and arguing.
It's always good you two arguing.
I don't think.
Right, so you're saying top 4. That's your benchmark.
That's my benchmark, and that's the reason why we're speaking about Tottenham and Arsenal, because they're the ones that we're going to be competing against. I don't know. It remains to be seen what Chelsea are going to be like. I know Chelsea haven't really done that much in the transfer window as of now. But the thing is with Chelsea is that people don't realise there's not as much pressure on them to strengthen their squad, because last season they had such strength in depth anyway. Yeah. To the point where they could probably lose a couple of players, not make huge additions, but still be relatively strong. Yeah. But obviously they've got Chilwell returning from injury as well. They've got some players. They've got Hudson-Odoi, who was injured for basically the whole second half of their season. They've got a decent enough squad there where they'll be slightly ahead of us. I think they're in that little kind of gap between not being quite... Do you think they're quite City and Liverpool level?
No. Or just they're in that gap between fighting for top 4 and fighting for the title. They're in between the two.
They're probably comfortable top 4.
Comfortable, but they're nowhere near the league.
All right, so that's why
it'd be the most Chelsea thing for them to go and win the league.
Yeah, or finish
7th. Yeah, or one or the other.
Yeah,
that's what Chelsea 7th and then win. Finish 7th, but win the FA Cup and the Champions League.
Yeah,
exactly.
Still sack the somehow they always end up with silverware, sacking a manager halfway through a season, but it doesn't matter because they win things anyway. So Ronnie's going top 4. Mr. Drinkwater.
Right, do you want the three?
Go on, give us the three scenarios.
Hedging your bets a little bit.
Well, what would we say? Acceptable.
Acceptable, good, and successful.
You say acceptable. I say that is the bare minimum that Erik Ten Hag has to do to keep his job.
Okay.
That's what I think. Acceptable is an improvement on last season. Ever so slightly.
Okay.
So, like, you know, more points, maybe one position higher in the table, a little bit further in the cups. We don't win out, probably don't even make the top 4, but it's acceptable.
Okay.
We can see it on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
We can see a little bit.
There's improvement there.
Yeah, a little bit, right, but not good enough.
We only lose 3 of our last 4 away games.
Right, yeah, exactly.
We only
exactly.
lose to half of the bottom.
3-0 to Brighton this time.
3-0, not 4-0.
Brighton, yeah, exactly.
Baby steps.
So we've improved a little bit.
Okay.
Now, in terms of what was the other one? Successful. Successful is a trophy.
Okay.
We could finish flipping 6th again if we win a trophy. I guess successful, you got a trophy. Good. Is in, I'm at the end of the season, like, what a mint season that was, watching Manchester United. That's quality. It's got to be top 3 and a trophy. Because the only thing that, because I think, like we said about Tottenham then, Manchester United, if managed correctly, probably should 50-50 finish above Tottenham. However, if we were to finish above someone like Chelsea and we're just below City and Liverpool, that's good.
What do you reckon the difference is between top 3 and just being top 4 anyway?
There's nothing in terms of qualifying for the Champions League.
Because I want to be like things finishing 2nd and finishing 4th the exact same.
Do you remember that last
Do you know what I
day?
mean?
Do you remember the final day 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
We went to Leicester. And like with half an hour to go of the season, we could have finished 6th or 3rd. It was like Leicester were,
Lingard scored.
Yeah, it was however this game finishes and other results and all the rest of it. And in the end we finished 3rd, and I was like, I'm not knocking it because I was celebrating. I was like, that's a decent finish considering we were well out of the top 4 race not long ago. But yeah, it can be sort of paper thin margins between that.
Yeah.
And again, things can go so many different ways. Tottenham could get 80 points next season, finish 3rd comfortably, maybe even push a bit more than that. With Conte's a great manager, who knows what'll happen there. But 12 months ago, it was pretty. I know they didn't have Conte then, but United were comfortably favourites to finish top 4 ahead of Tottenham.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
Their squad isn't better than ours, and they've got some players better than anyone in our squad. But like, go through it man for man, and not right now, but like. Their midfield is okay. Bentancur improves that a little bit. Højbjerg is a good player, but not a great player. Their defence is anywhere between all right and
Their defence is the
shocking.
weakest part.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But obviously,
they've got a
Romero.
defensive manager, and
Yeah.
Romero's a good player. But like, I don't think it's obvious that Tottenham are going to be that good next season. I think Arsenal's team is bang average. I think they're lucky to finish where they finished this season with any European football next year.
Football, yeah.
It's not going to happen the same way for them. And if it does, it will mean they've improved a lot, not because they've stayed as good as they are now. United massively underachieved last season. And it's interesting because when you ask me what I think success is, I'm probably going to pick sort of the lowest of anyone. But United, with a good season, like you said, could finish 3rd. Like we finished 2nd 12 months ago. Like, that's not unbelievable. And I know that, like, we
there's a
always
few
feel like we're
asterisks,
so
yeah.
scarred that we can barely predict that we might finish above Tottenham. We're United fans who are meant to be, like, deluded and think we'll do better than we will. And we can barely say we'll finish above Tottenham are just fine. Like, Arsenal are shit. Tottenham are fine. Chelsea can't get their act together in the league. Like, I don't think it's mad for us to finish 3rd next season.
I know.
It's not
I
mad.
agree. I agree.
I think there's got to be, for me, I can't imagine Maguire, Rashford, Shaw, to a lesser degree, even McTominay having as bad a season this season as they had last season.
No.
Last season, all of them had their worst ever season.
Yeah.
I think Harry Maguire was better for Hull than he was.
It's better for Sheffield United.
Than he was for Manchester United last season. Honestly, you tell me a season that you've seen Marcus Rashford play as badly as he did last
Yeah.
season. I love Marcus
obviously
Rashford,
not.
but he was terrible. And I can't see him repeating that again. So I think if you start getting those players, if Marcus Rashford gets another 20-goal season in him, if Harry Maguire goes back to the player that was shining at Leicester. I know, that's what I mean. It is. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
there's a lot of ifs.
But it's all ifs. The season not started yet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
if
that's
these
what
things
I'm
happen, then yeah, why not? Like we were calling, Luke Shaw, Roberto Carlos, Harry Maguire
I don't
was in
know.
the team of the tournament. Marcus Rashford had the top 5 goals and assists in Europe not long ago.
We're gonna have to
Bruno
go some.
Fernandes
We're
was
gonna have to
like-
go some to do that. I feel
Yeah.
like we'll have to properly
It's
go some
possible.
to
I'm
finish
not
top
saying
3.
It's not. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't have that confidence. You're right.
Because
It's being scarred. Because I can't just forget the 12 months or the 9 months of dross I've just watched, and it still scars me when I think. Oh, I don't know. I feel sorry for it tonight. Can he actually turn this around? Do we need? Do
you know what it was, though?
Signings.
Obviously, that season where he finished 2nd, I know a lot of people put an asterisk on it. I kind of have to in terms of the whole COVID season. no fans. The whole you know what it is. No, it is, Joe. It's the fact that it was a season where Chelsea weren't allowed to make any signings. Liverpool were injury ravaged.
But Chelsea can't make any signings every other year.
And we finished second, which was decent points total. What was the stat about the points total that we had? If it was any other season, it would have been a lot lower. It was. I know. To be fair, but I felt like it was probably a little bit inflated, even though when we did finish second. I think last season is probably a lot of the other way in terms of there's probably a middle in terms of where United should have been achieving, probably around 4th or 3rd place. I think the second was definitely not an accurate representation of probably where the squad was. I didn't quite expect the fall off last season that we had. I think we definitely underachieved because I did say at the start thinking that when we signed Sancho, Varane and Ronaldo, we did expect, there was an expectation that we'd at least be challenging or somewhere up there. I know some of you had predictions that we're going to actually win the title. I know, looking at you.
You're about. I've never said 21 is coming. I've certainly never said 4 is coming in terms of Champions League wins. That would be crazy.
But I think 4th would be going some. But I do think
you meant how many titles Pep's won, didn't you? When you said 4 is coming. Fuck's sake.
Do you know what it is like? Yeah. It's weird because you mentioned Liverpool. Liverpool had that horrific spell, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or, you know, but they lost 6 on the bounce at home. Everything was awful, and then
half a team.
Towards the end of the season, they started picking up, and things started to get rosy again. To a lesser degree, there's a possibility United could do something like that because that wasn't indicative of where that squad was at, and in the same respect, I don't really think our squad is as bad as it's been. Like losing 4-0 to Brighton, losing, getting just played off the park by Crystal Palace, getting absolutely annihilated by Watford. Do you know what I mean? That's not really where we're at in terms of quality.
And just to add to the players you mentioned before, the 4 players you mentioned before, Jadon Sancho had arguably his worst season as a professional footballer. And part of that is because he was coming to a new country. Yeah. He was playing in a shambolic team. I'm not blaming him, but statistically, we can expect more from him. Yeah. Raphael Varane had his worst season. I saw him make a lot of mistakes for United, and his injury record wasn't great either. We can expect more from him. I even think we can expect more from Ronaldo because the service he was getting was disrupted and dysfunctional at best, and a lot of the time just shit. I think there's plenty of players we can expect more out of. Yeah. I don't even think even players like Fred, who we sort of started to see a bit more by the end of the season.
I think we can expect more out of Fred.
I think we can expect more out. I think there's more to come from him.
He's the only player I think that can hold his head up high.
As in, I feel like we started to see a little bit of progression of what the player can be when he plays a little bit further forward. For McTominay, I feel like the jury's still out in terms of what I think he can bring to the table. I think he has to be at max a squad bench player if United want to do anything achievable anyway. I know sometimes you can have great players around it and you can kind of suppress it a little bit, but I think in team sports, especially football, sometimes you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if you have someone like McTominay in midfield, in the engine room somewhere it's so important, I think United are going to struggle unless we get someone else in there. I think Fred showed enough, but I don't think I've ever seen enough from McTominay.
I'm just scared about the full-backs as well. I'm scared about that situation. Wan-Bissaka's probably going to go. You've got Dalot. Nothing he's done has convinced me he's a Man United full-back at the minute, or a full-back that should be a top 4 full-back. And then on the other side, you've got Luke Shaw. One season looks like a world beater. The next looks like he can't even be arsed. Alex Telles, he's too mistake prone. I think you've got blaring gaps in the team there. Harry Maguire even, and I agree with you, Joe. I think some of these players can't have as bad a season as they had last season. But if Harry Maguire's even anything like he was last season, we ain't getting top 4. And especially if he's got that captain's armband on his arm, because it just sets a precedent for the rest of the team. I don't think he will do. And this is what I mean about Erik Ten Hag. Erik Ten Hag all these players that I'm criticising now, we've seen them at their best and we've seen what they can do.
That's the thing for me. When you talk about ceilings and you talk about this, that and the other, if half of those players that have been so far below their best this season get anywhere near it next season, it's 6 points immediately.
Yeah, you're right.
And if one of them has their best season ever, it's another 2 points.
Yeah.
You do this, you do a good structure, that's another 5 points. We could end the season with 20 more points next season and still not have a great year.
Bruno had a sort of 3-month spell where he was terrible.
If he's back to where he was for the 2 years before that, that's 5 points. He makes that much of a difference.
This is the thing that all these players that we mentioned that had their worst ever season. Yeah. Even Bruno had his worst Premier League season. He's only been here for 3 years, or whatever. If they step up, then we're laughing, or to a certain degree. It's just that it's like we've all said, it's that big.
The Rashford one worries me though. Because I think it's been longer than a season, to be fair, that he's kind of shown
But at least
us.
the thing with Rashford is he's always had numbers at least.
He's outputting
He's always
it,
been
yeah,
able to
but-
go, all right, I've made my performances haven't been great, but I've given you 20 goals and 18 assists this season. Last season, it was 4 goals, 5 assists, and just 6 months of looking lost.
What's success for you next season then, Jay?
For me, I'm old school, I'm basic, I'm sorry, I'm that guy. It's just a trophy. I just want us to win something.
Same.
I just do. I know that, people go, about Champions League, and ideally win the Europa League and get us Champions League football with a trophy.
Perfect.
But you know what I mean? I'd be happy with that. But, we're going into now, this could be 6 years without a trophy? Is that our longest since, I don't even know, since the 70s or something? I mean, come on. It's just, yes, it's great to finish in the Champions League spot, and I know what that brings in terms of the ability to buy better players, the kudos of being in the Champions League and enjoying those games as well. But seeing Manchester United lift silverware is what I'm about, and I'm old enough to have lived through all the Fergie era and been spoilt rotten. And now sitting here, we've watched us lose 4 semi-finals in a season, and they're losing the Europa League final to Villarreal after 20 penalties or whatever it was. It's just deflating, man. I just want to see us lift something. And yes, ideally, I'd like it to be the FA Cup or the Europa League, but I'd take the League Cup. And I know that's too
yeah,
long.
of
I would.
Yeah,
Just winning
definitely.
something. Get that, get Ten Hag off to a flyer, if you can call it that, but winning something, because that gets one monkey off his back straight away. He's won some silverware, gives the players, because a few of these players haven't won anything.
Yeah.
So they've won something, like some Maguire, like some Bruno Fernandes in this country anyway, have won some actual silverware, and you can build on that. So Alex Ferguson finished 13th and won the FA Cup, and we're on our way. Do you know what I mean? Now, I'm not expecting Ten Hag to do what Fergie did, but
finished 13th.
yeah. But you can build on it. You can. I think Louis van Gaal was a bit of an outlier because it felt like it had gone wrong so badly. He was in his second season. The football was horrible, and we all knew Jose was coming. I think the FA Cup didn't matter because of those factors. With Ten Hag, it's different. If he can lift some silverware, gives him a bit of a springboard, and then next season you go, okay, we can build on that. We can try and go for, challenge for the title, challenge in Europe. That for me would represent almost all of those things, acceptable, good, and success. I think a bit of silverware will do that. And as a fan, that journey. You remember what it was like getting to the Europa League final, just the journey, the games, and you're like buzzing. You know what I mean? Getting to a final, winning a final, gives us all a lift. Do you know what I mean? And that's what Manchester United, even in our dark days, in the 80s when the Scouts was winning everything, we still won FA Cups. Even in the 70s, we won an FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? We've always been able to lift silverware until the last 5 years.
I think there needs to be, as well as all that. It's all well and good us saying, we need this, and this by the end of the season, but there also needs to be a running theme throughout the season of a form of optimism. I don't want to be, maybe for the first couple we might do, but I don't want to be going into games where I genuinely predict United are going to get beat by more than 3 goals. Against Liverpool and against City last season, all 4 of them games I was terrified before. I knew what was coming.
That was the one thing that Ollie brought in absence of trophies, was every single big game I thought we had a chance. I thought we might beat Chelsea because we do it. We might beat City because we keep doing it. Liverpool was always a bit of a tricky one, and for some reason Arsenal he couldn't beat them either. But like PSG, you think we could do this.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that we lost under Rangnick. You just had no belief whatsoever. That was the
You
problem.
know what's concerning
Sorry,
about
go on.
what's concerning about those City and Liverpool results is usually in games of that magnitude, the rivalry games, the games that mean more than just
This means more.
3 points.
just the 3 points and the fixture.
Yeah.
So sometimes when there's a little bit of a discrepancy between talent between the two sides, so to speak, you should at least narrow it a little bit or make it competitive just off wanting to fight or wanting to win. And it didn't seem like United did that. Like rolling over and dying
They
against
went the other
Liverpool.
way. They had the more
Exactly.
talent and more desire.
I
does
won't
that-
forget
so
that 5-0 at Old Trafford when Ronnie's, booted the ball at Curtis Jones or whatever. And they've all kicked off Liverpool players. You've got Kanate, you've got Van Dijk, you've got them all there.
Just say this is my first time hearing about this. I wasn't in the ground at this point.
Yeah,
Go on.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
And the only ones who wanted to know, you've got Ronnie getting surrounded, was Fred and Bruno. You've got every other United player, like the other 8 of them or whatever, just stood miles away, just not even engaging, not interested. The crowd are going mad. You've got all the Liverpool supporters going mad. You've got Liverpool players surrounding Ronnie, and yet none of our players even had that bit of, hang on a minute, this is our ground, this is the Scouts, is what you're doing. There was none of that.
Because half of them don't like him.
Yeah, but even so, do you know what I mean? Come on,
Yeah.
have a bit of pride for your
Yeah.
badge. Do you know what I mean? What are you even doing?
We've all worked with people we don't like. You know what I mean? I couldn't
Yeah.
do these videos with this knobhead all the time, but I put up with it because I put the channel first.
You're going to let him talk to Ronnie? Okay, right, sorry, I was about to stick up for you then, Ronnie. What was your
Fucking time you up to do.
step forward? What would be your success? Good, acceptable? Because you're saying that... Well, go on, I'll let you explain.
I think, obviously, a trophy would be an element of success.
Yeah.
But like we saw under Van Gaal, you can have a trophy and still have a failure of a season. Like, he literally got sacked because of it, and maybe some people look back now with rose-tinted glasses and wish he was still here. But generally speaking, people kind of went, I understand why he's been sacked.
Yeah.
So there is a world where you can win a trophy and get sacked, and I still think we live in that world. I would I would just rather have a team, almost like what you said, Gaz, that has clearly listened to the manager, has accepted and began to really embrace his play style, where you look at it and you go, I can see why that's different to Solskjaer, to Jose, to Van Gaal, to Rangnick. Like, we press, we keep the ball, we control games, we win by playing Ten Hag's way. It's not just like, we've won a few games because our team was better than theirs, or, we got lucky. I want a team that actually has adopted and embraced Ten Hag's style. That's more important for me short term than, Wigan won the FA Cup. They got relegated. Like, I'm not saying I don't love winning trophies, and that is what football's about, but the idea that winning a trophy now is all that matters, because I'm trying to think 2, 3, 4 years ahead here. Can we maintain success, or is it going to be, yes, we won a trophy, but it wasn't good enough, you get sacked by Christmas next year and we're back to square one? I want to see signs that this is a team and this is a setup that can be successful long term, rather than just, yes, we got something this year. I would rather we finish 5th with a team that plays the right way, and yes, there were times when they didn't quite get it, or we got outclassed by teams, but we're clearly playing for Ten Hag. Ten Hag comes out and you can see it watching every week that we're playing a new style of football, we're controlling games, we're winning games the right way. That then I can think, right, 2 signings, then we might be pushing for Liverpool and City, or maybe then we can win the FA Cup, then we can start winning some trophies.
Joe,
Because
you're just describing how Arsenal fans feel right now about their team. Do you actually think that about Arsenal though?
What?
That a couple signings they can challenge Chelsea and
That's
No, but they
Liverpool
think that
City?
because they're wrong.
I was going to talk about the
They're
signing.
not right about
You've
that.
just described with what you want to see from Man United. That's the season Arsenal have just had.
Yeah, but I don't think their manager is good enough. I don't think you can play Arteta's football all you want. You're not going to win the Premier League. I don't think he's good enough as a manager to do that. I think Ten Hag, again, hasn't proven it, but he might be. At least he's dominated leagues before. I think that Man United's team is better than Arsenal's anyway, so we're not as far away from doing what we need to do as they are from what they want to do. And also, maybe Arsenal will be successful, but I just don't think Arteta is good enough to do that. So I trust Ten Hag's style enough that I think if we go with it, we might have a chance.
Now, there's a reason why I went with the top 4 over the trophy thing, because if, as United fans, you've got actual aspirations of catching City and Liverpool, it's going to be hard to do that without Champions League football. Because in terms of the reason why I'm saying that is because if we're loitering around 5th place and getting an FA Cup there, and then we go into the transfer window and then we can't attract names or players or entice the type of players that are going to help us challenge the likes of City and Liverpool, we're going to be constantly behind them. I think there's an element where I know sometimes people are saying
Liverpool did it though.
We've done it.
They got most of their players that won the Champions League without having Champions League football.
We've done it in the past. We had Zlatan, we had Pogba, we had Mkhitaryan.
When
we didn't have Champions League football.
I reckon
I know I did that, made that point myself that it can affect you.
But
it is doable.
It carries on. But then the player has leverage in them situations, and that's why we end up giving these crazy wages to the players, because we've got to give them these wages to entice them to come, because we don't have Champions League football.
One thing I did want to say on the trophy front, though, you sort of touched on the improvement, Joe. Do you feel like a trophy, though, could give belief and time to Ten Hag? Because everyone said if Ollie had won that Europa League final, maybe he don't get sacked, because maybe people go, okay, he's having a stinker, but we've just won a trophy. Yeah. You know what? The players are buzzing. They got a bit of silverware, and everyone's maybe a little bit more positive about the long-term plan. Do you think that could help?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not.
That's one thing that sort of makes me wonder whether a trophy could help him.
Yeah, within what I would consider success, I'm more than happy for trophies to be part of that.
I know we all.
I'm not saying I don't want to win a trophy.
I know we all want.
I'm saying I value a team that is playing Ten Hag's system properly and trying and not giving up. I value that for now more highly than the likes of a League Cup. Because I don't think the trophies we all care about, let's be honest, are the Premier League, the Champions League, and to a slightly lesser degree the FA Cup. They're the two. if we could, we've had 10 years where we've won everything else. It hasn't felt successful.
Yeah.
Like, for proper success, it has to be one of or both of the Premier League and the Champions League.
agree.
And I think the only way we get there is by fully committing to this manager, the players fully committing to
So
him.
if you finish
So I'm
fifth,
valuing that slightly more highly for now.
so you finish fifth without silverware, but you get all of what you just said in terms of there seems to be playing Ten Hag style and playing a little bit with more motivation and a bit more spirit than we've seen.
Yeah.
You see that as success.
I don't think it's success. I think that's a season I would go, okay, I think that season has been all right this year, and let's go again next season.
Also, we have to remember as well, it's how that looks. If that season you see, say, Garnacho playing a lot of games,
Yeah.
Garner playing a lot of games, McNeil gets his debut and scores, and you go, hang on, he's bringing in some youngsters, and I can
what I
understand.
mean.
There has to be a bit of context. With all that being said, though, we're going to go around the table. You've said what you want to see or what would constitute success or good or whatever. Where do you think you'll see United end up next season? And I know it's difficult because we've not made any signings yet. Ten Hag, we've not kicked a ball on a Ten Hag, but just as an early prediction, where do you think United are going to end
I
up?
think it'll be a 50-50 toss of a coin for top four.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful because of Ten Hag's style of, controlling games. I think in the cups where we are better than most teams we play against, like the Europa League and the League Cup, obviously you're playing against the same teams, but you often will face a slightly weakened team or maybe slightly less motivated team. I think we could go a long way in one of those. I think we could win a trophy, definitely, but I think it'll be toss of a coin for top four and latter stages of Europa or FA Cup or League Cup.
Nice. Ronnie?
No, definitely. As we stand here today,
Yeah.
with the lack of signings and what I've seen rivals do, I think the best we can probably hope for is fifth place, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think at this moment in time, I think we're pretty much level with where Arsenal are at the moment in terms of, and that's not necessarily with personnel, but I just feel like you got to think about trajectories. Arsenal's team's slightly going that way from where they were, and we're going down. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, I'm not talking about, it's not all about talent and ability and players on the team sheet sometimes. They have played, especially recently, with a lot more unity. Obviously they've got
That game against Chelsea was a good example of that.
they've had their rocky patches,
Yeah.
and I think Tottenham are probably just a tier above. I think it's massively to do with the Harry Kane and Heung-min Son element as well. But so I'm guessing fifth place is probably where we could probably end up, if I'm honest with you, if we're going to be battling it out with Tottenham and Arsenal for top four.
Would you two accept that as fans?
I wouldn't
Be all right with that?
No, I would.
Oh,
I
I
don't.
Would you, and when I say accept it, I mean,
Yeah.
would you back the manager for the following season?
Yeah,
You'd go,
well,
okay,
I'm doing that anyway.
Yeah, all right.
That's
fair enough.
I don't. I'm not going to be calling for the manager to get
No,
sacked
I
after
agree
one
with that.
season.
No, I've
the
said
job
the
he's
same
got on
myself.
his hands. Again, I'm not going to be over the moon if we don't win anything and we've started playing Ten Hag's football.
get
I'm not
it.
going to be like fucking brilliant United are back. But I'm just thinking, what is the most likely path to long-term success? I think that is the first building block of it. Accepting that we're not good enough to challenge the City and Liverpool, we're probably not good enough to win the Europa League because every year someone like Barca or Atletico or Bayern Munich drop it or Dortmund drop into it. I think that's the first building block. So let's go with that and then go again next season and try and improve.
100%. Mr. Drinkwater.
Well, I'll predict the signings as well because I think we need probably about 6 or 7 signings. I think we're going to sign 3 people. I think we're going to sign De Jong. I think we'll sign Anthony. And I think United are probably looking at a forward as well. I think we should go for a defender, but I think that's the way it'll be. Defensive midfielder as well, I think we need. But that's what I think we'll get. 3 players, and I think that means the squad is good enough, and the best we can hope for is 5th place.
You think 5th?
Yeah, I agree.
Do you disagree with the boys? Would you be like, would you be okay with that? I know you're not going to be buzzing
It's
if we
not-
got 5th. Would you still back Ten Hag going into the following season?
I'd be in 2 minds here, mate, because
Yeah.
on one hand I'd be like, it's improvement. It's like as I said before,
Yeah.
he's done the minimum. He's
Yeah.
improved on last season. On the other hand, not getting top 4 isn't good enough. But you've also got to say, well, he wasn't backed either. And I don't think he will
That's
be.
a good point. You know what? This is all could be moved if that circus upstairs don't sort themselves out and actually back this
He might
manager
quit
properly.
before Christmas, let alone
Do you know
get
what I
sacked.
mean?
Exactly.
Because as we sit here, it's all we're in talks with and we're looking at this and we're hopeful of getting a deal for that one. We need to start signing some fucking players. Anyway, that's been the big debate over what would be a successful, good, acceptable season under Erik Ten Hag. Get involved in the comments in the chat and let us know what you think. Do you agree with Gaz, myself, Ronnie, or with Joe? Joe, where can people find you?
Sloppy Joe's podcast or Joe Smith 93 on Instagram.
Mr. Brown?
I always forget it when I come on here. I think Ronaldo Brown 98 is what you
Ronaldo
find.
Brown 98. Mr. Drinkwater, plug away.
Radio_Gaz on the socials. I also host a phone-in football show on BBC Radio Manchester. It's called Talking Ball, 6 p.m.
And you don't have to be from Manchester to phone in.
No,
Anyone
do
can
you,
get involved in that.
No.
So make sure you do. You know what, find me, Jay Motti. Don't forget as well to hit like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.